Pure MJ obviously is a massive Sivir player,
Right, and
and
Cyber
so
Sage
I think
loves
seeing
his
it being
Vayne
banned first
Twitch.
isn't surprising at all, particularly the fact that Cyber Sage doesn't really play Sivir at all. And then they,
Yeah,
of course, respond
Cyber's
by
more of
banning Cyber
that
Sage's Vayne. Like, we have two pretty good AD carries, but they tend to run very, very opposite styles. I think Cyber Sage tends to run the more
he likes playing. Oh,
carry-focused AD carries that can sort of solo dominate games, whereas Pure MJ just kind of is one of those who just sort of goes around, like farms well in lane phase, and then contributes to utility and such through team. Like if you look at his three most played AD carries, it's Sivir and Tristana, and then Ashe way, way down there.
so it's more. Oh, damn it. Test, test, test.
Let me do a little advertising.
Oh yeah, so I'm on my. Oh yeah, okay, you got yours as well. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Sorry, I was quiet for a little bit. I was having some technical problems switching over to not have to do the push to talk as well. Um, so Morgana, I think, is a little bit surprising. The hype pot or purple unicorn. Like I guess he plays it occasionally, but I don't feel like that's been a lot of the stuff that they've been practicing.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen him on a lot more sort of pokey things.
Well, as
Uh,
well as from talking with them, some of the stuff that I hear them talking about in some of the sports is the stuff like Shen, Nautilus, where it's that tanky frontliner that provides a meat wall for Carlton to use his strong mechanics fairly offensively because he has that defensive capability to play around that meat wall that provides the CC that locks someone in.
yep. Though honestly, looking at play history, I might expect a Nami pick coming in from Hypebot Unicorn. Maybe, obviously not first pick, because they don't want to squander blue side on a pick that probably won't be particularly contested. But if you look at his play history, Hypebot slash Purple Unicorn have basically been spamming nonstop Nami for the last few days. I think if you look at his played, like 18 of his last 20 games are Nami. So they open picking Nautilus.
Yep, just what I just said is
I'll
that
say that could invalidate everything I said. It could also theoretically be a flex pick, although I don't think Targan plays Nautilus top.
um, unless he's added it to his pool recently, I don't think so. I think the big one that they've been practicing with him is going to be the
Tom,
Maokai. Um,
I've also seen the Tom Kench
okay, I
from
haven't
him a
seen that
lot.
much as well.
He's been playing a lot of Tom Kench, although that's more in normals than anything else.
More expand. And this is why you don't do things in chat.
Well, that's
Cheaters.
very, very awkward. They meant to pick someone and they banned it instead.
So let's see what they changed that over
But
to.
unsurprisingly, they're also picking Tristana for pure MJ. I think it makes a lot of sense, given that his two most played AD carries are Sivir, who was auto-banned, and Tristana. And especially because Sivir's a little less strong on this patch than she has been on the last few patches.
Well, it's definitely that's the case on maybe some of the professional level play, but some of the things that can be really useful, and I think the level of play we're expecting to see here is it's going to give Team 2 a lot of that engage, and it's a ADC that works really well in a team fight. Not necessarily for being able to be that high mechanics to pick off tanks, but for letting the team be in position, keeping them spread out, but get that time on target to move within the team fight, as well as a lot of AoE damage. So
Yep.
it can work in what I think is going to be a more brawly game than what we'll see out of LCS play, which is a bit more calculated. but could still be really good. Okay, so we're getting Tristana and Ari.
Yep.
So talking about what we're going to be seeing this game instead, with the Tristana pick, the big power spike there is going to be around how quickly they can take those towers, how well they can siege up. Ari, I think, can work with that fairly well, simply because she gives. She has strong wave clear. Not to mention that if anyone is defending that tower, there is that constant charm threat, especially if there's very little wave clear on Hypot's side. They may be at risk of that. We'll see what the rest of their picks are, but I do like the synergy that Tristana and Ari have.
Yep, and I also think it's a very nice safe pick, and if you're going to forego the red side advantage of getting that last pick out there, then it's not a bad idea to pick someone safe, because now we know Archaeotix is going to get his counter pick in mid lane for anything that he wants.
True. So, Alison, just a heads up, is I can hear myself through your mic.
Okay, I'm sorry, let me try to drop volume at least, if nothing else. Is that better at all?
Let's find out. Testing, testing, testing. Yes, that's much better. Thank you very much. Oh, wait, nope. I just heard myself there at the end.
I think it might be on your end. I don't hear anything.
Are you sure it's not because you have a stream open or something?
Yeah. Like, I don't hear anything
I
when
also
Gabby's
turned
talking.
up the voice detection
Other than her
level
talking.
way up.
Yeah, I don't have any streams running. I only hear it through Alison. It might be, I don't know. I might be crazy.
No, I definitely believe it. I adjusted the threshold for voice activation.
Okay. Well, and whatever. Let's just roll with whatever it is. I think we should be fine. Okay, so we have new pickups for Hypebot.
We have Gragas and Jinx.
Yes. So they're definitely going for that hyper carry for Cyber Sage. Jinx will be phenomenal late game. Nautilus Jinx, I feel, can be fairly aggressive in some of the early games, simply because the sheer amount of chain that the CC can offer. You get the Nautilus hook into the auto, into the traps. You're going to be able to get probably 3 or 4 autos down, and with Jinx, that's going to be a huge amount of damage if the bot lane gets desynced and they're able to go onto one of those. As well as the Gragas is going to provide a lot of that team splitting that's going to make it a lot safer for Jinx to roll through the team. The one thing though is I'm pretty sure that's going to be a Gragas in the jungle. But what that means is we're looking at for Targon as well as Archaeotix, who they can get as damage dealers. Because you can't just have that single threat.
Yep, absolutely. Though I will say that one of the things that I like, and the picks just came in for the other side, but I will say one thing I like about Jinx too, is that Jinx is the other AD carry who can sort of match Tristana's ability to kill towers.
Right.
Which would be nice if it turns into a lane swap game for people to down towers early.
Well, not only that, but it provides some of that wave clear to be a defense against that Tristana pushing power. And coming into that is the Zyra also adds a lot of that pushing power as well.
Yep.
Rek'Sai less so. That's more of adds for that kind of engage. That fighter in the jungle. But one of the things I really like is, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be a Zyra support. Is Zyra support has an obscene amount of damage for a support. I do think that is maybe a little bit of a mistake picking that into this matchup, simply because if Zyra gets Nautilus hooked, she is dead. She does not have any escapes. She has fairly low health. The one thing that she does offer is she has really high damage. So what I'm hoping to see out of that Tristana Zyra bot lane is if they can start getting harass onto Jinx safely without getting hooked. That is going to be difficult simply due to the long range of those Jinx auto attacks potentially, but we'll see.
Yeah,
that is a high risk, high reward bot
I
lane.
agree. Zyra's one of those supports who can almost carry game as a support just from the sheer amount of damage she deals. But she's also super squishy, and playing that into something like Nautilus, who has so much engage and has so much ability to catch people, like, especially given that Cairo is the lowest elo person on their team, and so is probably going to be the most likely to make a positional mistake in lane, is a very, very risky pick to come out.
I agree. But on the flip side, it does add more late game scaling to Team 2, simply because as supports go into the late game, they tend to transition more towards utility. Zyra maintains her utility throughout the entire game, but a support Zyra, simply due to the minimum items that you require to get that high level of damage, she'll be able to put out equivalent damage to mid laners. Granted, it's not going to be in as high of bursts, but once you get that Leandre's, it's just a lot of that bleed over time, especially with how long range you can toss out the seeds with the Q, because you can toss those out about 600 units away, and then they have an auto attack range of another 400 to 500 units. So if you time it right, you can get that little bit of chunk from a fairly long ways away. You're not going to be wanting to go for that max range. One auto attack's just not worth it. But if you can get that long range, fighting over objectives, those plants can attack, Dragon, Baron, do a fairly high chunk of damage, as well as, if you position them right, can each take from Dragon 2 hits. So it enables some early game dragons, which I'd like to see if T2 can assert that kind of objective pressure.
Nightbot just threw in their last 2 picks. And we have Nami and Malzahar, so it looks like that it is going to be Nautilus up in the top lane for Targon.
So it is. That changes the bot lane dynamic. I don't like this as much.
I feel like this is a really low damage comp coming across for Hypebot. That
it's 2 threat, so it's that Jinx and Malzahar. So those are the 2 lanes that Rek'Sai is going to need to be focusing on. Top should just be an ignore. You just let whoever you pick, you want that to be a strong laner that can hold their own against a Nautilus, which Nautilus will require the jungler for that kind of kill pressure. He's incredibly tanky, has tons of CC, but his damage is still a little bit low. With Gragas, I feel like they have the CC chain there, which will enable them to get that damage down. So as long as they can be careful around those ganks, they'll be fine top lane. But Rek'Sai definitely needs to be focusing on making sure that those the 2 damage sources for Hypebot do not get online.
Yep, and consequently, I think that's a good point. I will say that, obviously, one of the nice things about Nautilus in top lane is he's an absolutely phenomenal gank assister.
Right.
But there's a very good chance that we see that top lane gets almost completely ignored by the junglers on both sides of this game, because the other 2 lanes are just going to be so important.
Yeah, and Nautilus versus that Maokai, that is a wet noodle fight right there. They are both going to be building incredibly tanky. There's going to be very little damage items there. Yeah, we're going to get the Nautilus just trying to dig his anchor into the tree and keep digging for roots, and they're just never going to end.
There's going to be a lot of damage going back and forth, and no one's going to die.
Whoa. There's not going to be a lot of damage. There's going to be a lot of, explosions. We're going to toss seeds everywhere, anchors,
There will be a consistent amount of damage over time. It may not be high in amplitude.
That's fair. And then it'll be regenerated because there's going to be all these spells, so the Malka's going to get back up, and then the shield's going to proc, and there's going to be wet noodles, and it's going to be epic, and nothing's going to happen, and Carlton's going to get a double kill bot.
Another thing that we should pay attention to here is that I think teleport control is going to be very, very important. Because obviously both Not and Maokai have really, really good teleport ganks.
Yes.
Where if they can come down in a good position, they'll be able to lock down
Carlton,
someone
why,
for a really
why
long
you
time.
gotta ban non-champions? Preserve
Not even
it.
spelling any dirty words.
All they're doing is A.
Not even a word.
LMAO.
Alright, just because I'm curious and I haven't seen this, Targon has money games in his history on... Because I would have initially thought it was a Nautilus top when I saw the first pick.
Yeah, I just know
Okay,
that Purple Unicorn does like that. So that is a flex
He's
bit
been
for
playing
him.
it a little bit over time. He has not had a tremendous amount of success rate on it. He in their ranked team games, he seems to generally get beaten up pretty bad on the Nautilus, but they're also pretty highly ranked and ranked team.
Yeah, they are. Okay,
he's
so
probably getting some tough matchups for him.
Kalamazoo, why not? Classic,
Yeah,
hilarious
I mean,
name.
it's kind of an appealing name.
So, what are the sort of victory conditions that we're looking at for these two teams that we should look to see them playing around?
okay. So the big ones for Team Hypebot is we have that Jinx that is going to be an incredibly late scaling ADC. So the longer this game goes, the better it is for Hypebot. They have a comp that is really good at sieging because they have the Malzahar and Jinx, which are really, really strong at wave clear. Nami is really good at any kind of disengage. And Nautilus, Gragas, as well as Malzahar are really good if any of the squishies come up to wave clear them while they're sieging. You know, the other thing that makes it really strong is the Jinx has that really long attack range on towers.
Yep, and I will say too that I think that I mean Nami obviously is kind of the queen of disengage, but Gragas is a fantastic disengager as well with his ultimate.
Oh, absolutely.
And Nautilus, while he's usually better used as an engager, he has a reasonable amount of disengage as well because of his ultimate and ability to sort of knock people up as it travels to the backline.
Right. I would say Team 2, you know, they have... They don't have that scaling to the late game as well. You know, Malzahar is going to eventually outscale Ahri. Jinx is going to outscale Tristana. However, what they do have is a really strong mid-game potential power spike, where you get that Zyra that hits a level 11. That's a really strong spike for her. You know, Ahri, once she gets 2 items, you know, like Luden's Rabadons, it's a lot of damage that she's going to be putting out. Tristana during that mid game, 2 items as well, you know, has a lot of tower killing pressure. So what I'd like to see from them, or how I think they're going to win, is early dragon control. You know, just with the strong clear potential from the Rek'Sai and Zyra being able to rotate up, they can easily do that if there's any back timings that they can take advantage of from Hypebot. The other thing is being able to do some of that strong pushes around the mid game. If T2 does not get ahead by, I'd say, 25 minutes into the game, this game is definitely going to start swinging over to Hypebot. However, you know, T2, they do have that really strong early game jungler of Rek'Sai. She's able to duel fairly well. She has some non-conventional gank paths that I'd like to see them take advantage of for ganking into bot and mid lane.
Also, the other thing that I think is going to be really important is you mentioned the like sort of mid-game level 11 Zyra-ish power spike, and I think that's going to be very important. More important than that is I think what they want to do is they want to take a lead there and translate that into vision control on the map, because they have an absolutely phenomenal pick comp. Between Zyra and Ahri and Maokai, they have a huge amount of single target CC lockdown. They have great burst with the Tristana and Ahri, and even if they happen to not have ward vision over a particular area, you have Rek'Sai Tunnel or Rek'Sai Tremor Sense to tell you when someone's approaching. There's a lot to like there.
I agree. All right, and we are
But
loading
I
onto the
mean-
rift.
I will say that Hypebot certainly feels like the favorite here. They were one of the two top teams. I mean, they obviously ended up in the top seed, although they were tied for the top 2 seeds. And they have strong laners pretty far around. I would say the one place where there's sort of a clear advantage right now for 2 is in the top lane with the Maokai. But unfortunately for them, that's probably not a lane that's going to get focused very much, so it's going to be on Pressloss to generate a lead for himself. A very difficult lane to generate a lead in.
Right.
lead.
Well, and it's one of those leads. You have certain matchups, like if you have a Fizz, Vladimir, where trading kills is just really good for you because that's a champion that can carry a team. A Maokai that gets really fed, it will definitely be able to have a presence on a team, but it's not going to carry a team. It's simply going to, the more fed that Maokai is, it's going to give a lot more room to the rest of the players on your team to be able to move around team fights more clearly. That stronger front line that's going to make it harder for Hypebot's carries to win the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we are in the game. It looks like both teams are pinging out the top side. I do hope this means we get a bloodbath early.
Although if it happens too early, Ari kind of lagged behind in the item purchasing. They happen to catch each other right now.
Oh, Hypebot see them. We're getting the fight
Hypebot's
out.
got them.
Pressloss is going to be caught out. Has to use the flash.
There's a
Ignite is
flash down
burned.
from Maokai.
They should be getting out, but a flash for an Ignite is a really good trade for Hypebot. As well as, since he got so low, they're going to be pushing that out, get that early lane vision, which will enable potential lane
Super
swaps.
importantly, it also means that they're going to have vision around those raptors, so if they try to do the very, very popular Maokai throws 2 saplings, and then the mid laner takes the skill shot for all the small raptors, they'll have vision of that, they'll know what's happening, they'll probably even be able to pop it because Maokai will be in trouble trying to do it.
Right.
I think instead what we're probably going to see, and it looks like with the pings coming out, Maokai is probably going to go to Wolves and just try to take them down for the early level 2.
Interesting. So it looks like we are going to be seeing a lane swap. Potentially it's by both teams are going to be
I mean, I think that's good for
top side.
Hypebot. I think Team 2 really wanted the lane swap here after Pressloss lost his flash. They could play a little bit safer that way and deal with...
Uh-oh, Nami.
So there's a little bit of a trap here.
Oh, but the miss!
divine
Oh,
miss.
Cairo, you can't miss that when they don't even know it's coming. That is a really good trade for Cyber Sage.
I would say, not only is it a really good trade for Cyber Sage, that's also a lane where they're going to have the sustained advantage as well.
Right.
Like, that's a lane cripplingly trade.
Yeah, also, I really don't like the first start on the Grasping Roots on Zyra. It's really great, like, if you get that gank for holding someone in place, but it's a slow-moving projectile. It's really easy to dodge. And without
that one never had a chance.
Right. Whereas the Q, it's a lot more responsive. You're more likely to get that damage harass out, which is what you're looking for in those level 1 trades.
Yeah, I mean, they were sort of playing for the early cheese level 1 kill, and it just got turned around really badly on them, and the longer this lane goes, the worse it's going to get.
Yeah, especially now that Nami is able to start sustaining that up. Does look like Rek'Sai is going to be coming in for a gank, however, depending on the route she takes, will get spotted out by a ward. He's instead opting to interact with the Gragas.
Nice little force off by Tempest, although they preserve the Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, however, the Wolf Spirit has indicated where Tempest is. Tempest is not aware of it, though, since it didn't make it all the way up. But
Gragas gets back and gets his jungle upgrade very easily. A nice help to his clear and sustain in the jungle.
Yep. Okay, so
Archaeotix is doing a nice job in mid lane, getting some health chunk down on Ari. Be really, really nice, because the more he can do that, the more cautious Ari's going to be able to have to be.
Yep. So CS-wise, Cyber Sage is starting to get a bit of a lead. Oh, good chunking down onto the Hypebot there for Cairo.
That was a nice plant trade, but unfortunately Nami's just going to be able to sustain it back up. But here's our first real gank attempt.
Numps is able to come in, get the stun out.
Nami's going to have to flash.
And that's
they hit the roots,
almost,
but they're not going to be
not
able
quite.
to finish it up for first blood. And ultimately, we end up trading support flashes because Zyra did flash in there to try to finalize the kill.
Carlton did have to spend heal there, though.
Yes.
That's true. They did get a heal out of it.
Heal is not worth it for just the... Well, I guess it's a single flash per flash and the heal.
Yep. It ended up as a one summoner spell advantage. Too.
Once they can bounce this, then they'll be able to bring that Rek'Sai back.
Meanwhile, I don't know if you saw it, but Ari got a really nice trade on Malzahar in the mid lane and managed to get him down to about 20% health, which he's now sort of sustaining back up.
Yeah,
nice
but
sort of turnaround on the lane.
You know, just getting that harass down, you know, isn't going to, you know, make a break. It's basically if you can get that kill is when it becomes worth it. The thing is Malzahar is still up on that farm, has that good wave control, so they should be able to keep maintaining that. The big thing will be is who can get that level 6 first. Because if someone can get level 6 first and be able to get that ultimate off, with where both of their healths are, that could transition into a kill. However, we do have Rek'Sai hoping to capitalize in bot lane. However, Liam's also there, so that's not going to be anything happening with how low red side is.
Ari has the smallest of experience leads over Malzahar. I would guess Malzahar missed a minion at some point, because with the same number of minions up, Ari was slightly ahead.
Alright, so
and Ari
did
hit 6 first. Unfortunately, the wave's about to shove in, and so as long as Archaeotix plays appropriately defensively here, it's going to be hard for Ari to... was feeling really bold.
No, Ari could get a solo kill here.
She could have, if she sort of a flash charm into a Q in Ignite, probably would have done in Malzahar before he could react.
Yeah, if you flash charm Ignite, oh no, you don't want to use that passively. You want to be diving straight in. You start the charm, hit the flash, and that becomes very difficult to dodge, very difficult to react to. As well as the thing is with the charm out, as Malzahar, you can't just ult that, because if you do the ult and then the charm connects, you get, you know, that half second of channel on your ultimate, and then you're still charmed. So missed opportunity there by that Ari.
Yep, that was a power spike that they had and is now gone. Ari trending slightly ahead in CS, but nothing overly massive. Malzahar getting the catalyst for some great sustain in lane.
But they are starting to get that little bit of gold advantage. It's just 200. Probably won't end up converting into anything, but we'll see.
They've also got ship damage on all of Blue's towers, where I think all of their towers are completely untouched, which is another thing we sort of were looking at with their ability to push lanes and get in. But unfortunately, there's nothing meaningful down either, and so they still are not really as they probably hoped for.
Yep.
So interestingly, Tristana decided to basically forego trading in the laning phase, and has fallen back to an Avarice Blade.
Yeah, I don't like that as much, simply because I don't think she's going to be the kind of champion that wants to play for that, you know, waiting to get the gold. You know, that's a game that works in favor of Hypebot, is playing for that late game.
I absolutely agree, and I think this is throwing away a lot of what could have been their early game advantage in bot lane here, and now Tristana cannot dual jinx right now. Like, they can only win 3-on-2s at this point.
Right, however, Rek'Sai has been spotted out, but good pressure. However, they are able to just walk out. But it is still pushing towards that red side, so that, you know, that Rek'Sai presence does... Oh no, catch out. That's probably... Could be a kill onto Cairo. Nope. Good heal out by the Tristana. However, we did have a fight in
There's
mid
the
lane.
kill onto Cairo.
Yeah.
So Gragas found Rek'Sai. So I was watching that fight. Gragas found Rek'Sai in the river, and Malzahar was able to collapse and use his ult to get Rek'Sai burned down.
Gotcha.
Another thing that we're not noting that is going very, very well for Team 2 right now is if you look in the bottom lane, we talked about how this was going to be kind of a wet noodle fight, and it is, but Maokai has done a great job of shoving in Nautilus. It has now opened up almost a 25, or actually about a 20 CS lead on...
Yeah, 20 CS is huge. You know, that's 400 gold that Maokai is up right now.
The farm alarm comes in to stop this top tower from going down.
However, that Jinx range is huge for being able to poke that up. Once that tunnel is down, you know, the Rek'Sai mobility drops dramatically.
Roaming down.
Getting good gank onto the Nautilus.
Oh,
Failed flash! That
the
means
fail
Ted is going to
flash
be
is gonna
dying.
be an easy death. Yeah, I think he would have gotten away with that with the flash over the wall, because he could have then followed it up with the hook at the bottom wall, and they wouldn't have been able to follow up.
Right, but as soon as that flash was missed, it was over.
Yep. I will say that that's probably not very good. I mean, that's obviously not very good for...
Good flash by
There's
Archaeotix,
Malzahar's
managed to
flash.
avoid the charm. However, Ahri is continuing to go in, still has the damage. Ult goes down, not quite under tower. Lots of damage, but Ahri is going to be able to pick up that kill. Great positioning by the Ahri by being able to know that she has to drop back as soon as she goes in to the tower range, knowing that Malzahar ultimate is up.
Yeah, absolutely. That would have been a really, really easy way for her to die there, and would have been a really nice turnaround by Archaeotix, but instead Ahri manages to keep it in her favor and get the kill.
Yeah, so Ahri is becoming that power player for Team 2. Is going to be what they want to play out. MJ going in really deep there.
That's a little bold there,
That's
Trist.
a little dangerous, simply because Cyber Sage was not low, wouldn't be able to get any kind of kills, resets. Ends up being a very favorable trade for Hypebot there, due to that over-aggression.
That was a really poor choice by Pure MJ. Because, I mean, with the item buys that we talked about, and with the sustain advantage, like, they just need to be avoiding any trades they can.
Right, that BF is going to be huge for that kind of Jinx damage, especially when those rockets are flying. You know, getting that 110% damage, as well as the splash, which, you know, enables Jinx to continue to get CS as well. You know, we look at the CS as, yes, Tristana does have that Avarice Blade, but Cyber Sage is still 20 CS up.
I mean, if you look at overall gold, admittedly Cyber Sage has an assist, which Tristana does not, but Cyber Sage has opened up a 300 gold lead on the Trist, who went for the early gold item.
Right.
So not only is he down power, he's down money.
Good gank onto Ahri. Ahri should not have used the... Wait, looks like the ult did not actually go on cooldown. Looks like she started to, but that did not actually trigger. Oh wait, no, there it goes. Oh, there it goes. It was the charges remaining. Okay.
Yep.
So that was probably a
really
mistake from Ahri.
Gank by Liam there, because I think Ahri is the person who was sort of most threatening to take over this game for T2, and
Malzahar still has that kill threat, so it's not that completely lost lane where it's, you know, ungankable.
I mean, Tempest Life just took an unbelievable amount of damage from that Malzahar. It's going to be forced to smite Red's not even up for it to... His gank presence is going to be diminished for a bit.
Yeah, but Hypebot is pushing in on the top side, so there is a small gank window here, especially with the lack of wards, although I don't think he's aware of that. Instead,
yeah, although
just to take his
Liam
red.
is sort of recognizing it and started heading up that way.
Yeah, Liam's in a great position for that kind of counter engage, or possibly a dive here onto Zyra Trist.
So if we assess the lanes right now, I'd say mid lane is close to even.
Oh,
Top lane is going very,
good
very
flash
well.
by Zyra to get away. However, catch onto Pure MJ is going to be... Oh, flash is out, so it doesn't get the kill.
It's a gorgeous Zyra ult.
However, Cyber
Here come
Sage
the
getting a little bit
teleports.
aggressive. Oh! Nautilus manages to stop the Maokai teleport just in time. Archaeotic's able to
That's
get
a-
the kill. It's going to be a transition. Should be the tower going down. Ari's going to be looking for something, but unfortunately sitting on a ward, so as soon as she makes a move, Team Hypebot is going to be able to react to that with some really strong CC. They are pushing for it. Cyber Sage is going to get flash, but not going to get anything out of it. Ari's coming up from behind. However, that is spotted out. But the pressure here, having 4, including a Jinx onto the tower, I will not be surprised if Hypebot is able to get this second tower and possibly then get on to Ari.
And one thing I kind of want to be upset about right now is if we look, Ari's already upgraded her yellow trinket, which is obviously a great upgrade, but in the hands of Ari and a team that's going to need to be so centered around making picks, I would have loved to see the early sweeper from her. Like, with a sweeper, she could have known that she was sitting on a ward the entire time and wouldn't have wasted so much of her time sitting up in that bush.
Right. Well, and the other thing there is I feel like that should have been a known high position or high probability ward. So T2, top lane, bot lane, they saw that Nami disappear for a little while. You know, whenever someone goes away for a period of time, you have to assume that there's a ward being done, especially if it's a support.
Yep, absolutely.
Anyway, so back to present. I am happy that T2 is able to pick up that dragon. That should help pull them back into the game. It's still a little bit late in the game for that first dragon, 15 minutes in. So that means I don't think we're going to see any kind of 5 dragon pressure, given that that is going to be about, 24 minutes out. So the earliest we could see that would be, about 40 minutes into the game.
I think if we go that far, I mean...
And if we go that far, that
team
Jinx
that
is
can
huge.
threaten 5 dragons, realistically speaking, is going to be T2, and that's not the team with the Jinx in 39 minutes.
Right. And at that 39-minute marks, that Jinx, that Malzahar, they're going to be dealing tons of damage. And, if any non-Maokai target gets caught, they're dead. However, good attack in onto Cyber Sage. However, Hypebot managed to get a double bubble.
A nice attempt, but some really nice play by Purple Unicorn. Keeps the
However,
Jinx
it looks like they
alive.
are going to be going back in. Pressless sidesteps the zap, and they are going to be able to just walk out of there. However, there are now 4 bot. That
this
is going to
cost them
provide
the
a
tower.
lot of tower pressure. Nautilus, on the other hand, is trying to hold against those 2, is really tanky. However, the Tristana will be able to put a lot of damage onto there, so I'd expect T2 to be able to trade this tower. However, Cyber Sage is going hard onto the Pressless. Knocked back, that is going to be a dead tree. Cutting him down, and they should be able to then go for that tier 2. Unfortunately, T2 is not getting that equivalent pressure onto that Nautilus.
Hypebot's doing a great job of just bringing more people to the places that they want to contest. T2 has, and they're playing aggressively in a game where the mid game should have been favoring T2.
Well, and the other thing I really like here is, knowing that the Tristana and Zyra are top lane, Ari's mid lane, just a Rek'Sai with a Maokai about to respawn, that's not going to be able to defend this bot lane inhibitor turret. So that means we have 18 minutes into the game an exposed inhibitor. This is huge for Hypebot. They're up 3 towers, that makes it 3,000 gold, and then with this back, they're going to have that kind of power spike that we were hoping to be, seeing from T2. So
Nice
I'm having
equalize.
trouble seeing how T2 can come back in. Ooh, Rek'Sai trying to make that play, gets the flanks, is going to be able to get... Nope, Archaeotic
But the
says,
Malzahar-
screw
ooh.
you. Ari,
Nice
though, is
play
going to be
by
able to
the
get the
Ari.
kill. So they managed to trade 1 for 1. Ari still going in on the Gragas. The slow is going to keep her there a little bit.
So
She's
that's
unfortunately
a little
out of
dangerous
charges.
for her to keep going.
Yeah,
Especially because Gragas has some really nice high base damages.
yes he does.
That ultimately ends up just being a 1 for 1. And now I think we're going to see Jinx rotate mid, and they're going to start hammering down that turret because they've got the turrets everywhere else on the map.
Yep.
And as soon as T2 makes a misstep here, them rotating to take that bottom inhibitor, which is just going to be a backbreaker. Especially against a team that has like really, really good Baron DPS.
Yeah, the one thing is I'm a little bit sad about is Hypebot's team composition means that they don't have a particularly strong split pusher. Balzahar will be able to get something going, but he doesn't have as much of the outplay potential, as you'd see from like a Zed or Fizz split pusher.
I'll say, I think if the game goes long enough, we're likely to see a Banner of Command coming out from, which will probably help that split push presence a little.
Yeah. So what I think is going to be happening, which they don't quite have started in the bot lane. Unfortunately, it's going to be pushing for red side here. But what I'd like to see would be you get that slow push started for Hypebot, pushing up, because that any kind of wave that becomes that slow push is going to threaten that inhibitor. And then what that means is with that slow push building, you can set up that siege in the mid or top lane with this incredibly strong siege comp, and it exert a lot of pressure onto those turrets there while there is that timer for T2, which means either they have to send someone down there, at which point they have a 5-on-4, and with the Nautilus and Gragas hard engage means you can dive that with impunity, hopefully get a pick, or it means that they keep 5 mid and then you just watch that bot lane go in and take an inhibitor. Unfortunately, Malzahar left a little prematurely, and with how the wave RNG worked out, it's going to be pushing against Hypebot in that bot lane.
But I still think we're likely to see blue side set up some sort of slow push in bot lane to try to force pressure across the map later on, even if it's not right now.
Right. Well, that's what I'd like to see anyways.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and I think it'll be surprising if we don't see it.
Yep, so we do have that 5-man siege starting to build up. What I think we're going to be looking for here is Hypebot's going to be looking for either a pick onto Zyra, Ahri, or Tristana. And if any of those can get hooked by a Nautilus, full hand, go in, get the kill, get the fights, get those Jinx resets. Otherwise, it's just going to be a battle of wave clear. Ahri, Zyra have phenomenal wave clear for Team 2. So it's going to be who gets out of position there and who decides to pull the trigger.
Yep, and I will say if we look at sort of the items, Nami has kind of gone a very, very aggressive build where it looks like she's going for the Zeke's Harbinger first. Oh, that's a nice bubble by the Nami, who's going to go down here, but I think they're going to get the Ahri.
Yep, they get the Ahri. Maokai's going to follow suit fairly quickly. Good, Zyra ult is going to stop them from falling further. However, Tempest's life is too far in. He's going to be falling. Get the Jinx reset. Oh, and the Malzahar means Tristan's going to be down. 4 down for just that Nami. This is going to be a couple of towers at least for Team Hypebot.
In, they've got the massive tank line. Got Malzahar.
They do have the minions. They could potentially have pushed for that second one. However, going for this dragon is definitely the safer given how small the death timers are at this point. So this will, I think, put that nail in the coffin for that 5th dragon possibility for Team 2.
Absolutely.
I feel like Team 2 is going to have a very difficult time coming back from this. The one exception I could see is we are looking at a 2-threat comp from Hypebot. So Malzahar, Jinx, that's where their threats are at. So what they are going to need to do is, first of all, they have to respect that. If they are in a siege together as 5, that is going to be a very difficult thing to break. So they're going to need to have that Rek'Sai who is able to split push, have a tunnel nearby, split push, apply that pressure. The other possibility would be use the Zyra and Ahri deletion capability. If you can make sure that you have your bushes swept, put those two in there, in position, knowing where Hypebot wants to rotate, and get a pick onto that Jinx or Malzahar. I'm not sure if Hypebot's going to misplay that, but that's how Team 2 gets back into this.
Yep, I absolutely agree with you. I think we're likely to see, and we're starting to see right now, the Rek'Sai go off to sort of do a little bit of split pushing, but I don't think that's going to be enough of a harassment on Hypebot to make any difference here, and I really think their only road back in is if Hypebot misplays and one of Jinx or Malzahar gets picked.
Right. Well, and Rek'Sai can do some of that, but it
here.
requires a lot of that. Alright, here we go. We're going into the fight. Archaeotix manages to flash out. Is going to be just fine. Jinx is dealing a lot of damage to that front line. And both teams will disengage. However, that tower is taken down to just a couple hundred health.
And, I mean, they did manage to get Malzahar's flash out of it, but nothing else gained. A lot of ultimates burned from... not as much as they were hoping to get out of that.
Yeah, there's no ultimates burned from Team Hypebot. They just played that disengage out well, where there's a couple of ultimates, where's that fighting power, especially from that Zyra. That Zyra is phenomenal group AoE. Without that, it's going to be very difficult for Team 2 to team fight. But looks like they are going to be pushing. Tristana is in a little bit deep. And now Maokai is. The two tanks, however, they're going to be able to take up some damage, but the damage plus 15-2 is not close enough. Ari has great charm onto Malzahar. Is managing to deal a lot of damage out. Get the kill, however, the dot is going to finish him off. And that dot's going to spread around that space aids to Fussless as well. Hypebot falling in. Looks like Tristana maybe. Oh no! Flash is traded, but that will be a 2-for-1, in the favor for Hypebot.
I think this was actually a really poor positioning style trade for Hypebot here, and if this gold were closer, this would have been a clear loss for them, because Hypebot is so far ahead.
Yeah, it's basically they're using that advantage. Money advantage for them, and I think that T2 was out of position there because they did have those two tanks that got caught ended up taking a lot of that damage. But the problem is their damage dealers, instead of being like 1 or 2 seconds away from that fight starting and then able to come in once those CDs were down, they were about 4 to 5 seconds away, which meant that Hypebot was able to use all of their CCs onto those tanks, and that's 5 seconds that brings most of those up back a lot sooner, such that when the fight then re-engaged, Hypebot was able to then finish up the fight, even though that Malzahar did come in a way that got caught by that Ahri.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was very, very close to being a good fight for T2. Timing just wasn't quite there. They had the closer caps. They had the closer ability to collapse with their Ahri and their turn it into fast enough.
Yep. So, okay, objectives on the map. We have Dragon in 130. So both teams are probably going to be wanting to look for that, although Dragon number 2 isn't going to be as big a deal. That's going to be one of the big objectives that Hypebot will be able to take with these. Otherwise they're looking at breaking into the base. The bottom inhibitor is exposed, but everything else you're having to deal with those base towers. Team 2, on the other hand, they have those outer towers that they still need to break through. If Hypebot decides to go for those dragons, I'd like to see them be pushing lanes and going for those objectives and not contest that dragon. They will not get anything out of that if that happens. However, it looks like Hypebot is instead opting to siege for the time being. They do have both side waves pushing, so they're able to exert a lot of pressure here, as well as continuing to give themselves that timing for the dragon if that happens. We'll see.
Yep, item-wise, we've hit a couple of nice spikes for Hypebot here. Malzahar's finished off the Leander's Torment, so obviously all of his spells are going to burn over time, in addition to their normal very high base damage. We also see that Nami has finished off the Zeke's Harbinger, which is going to mean that when it procs, Jinx, Cyber Sage is going to have an unbelievable amount of damage coming out.
Yes.
On the other...
Okay, and here's that fallback to Dragon.
Yep. On the other side, Rek'Sai's finished an Aegis, which will be kind of nice, I guess, but I would actually almost rather see the Aegis on Hypebot's side than on T2's side, because Hypebot is running 3 people that do primarily magic damage, or sorry, Team 2 is running 3 people that are doing primarily magic damage as opposed to just sort of the 1.5-ish that we see from. That being said, Zyra's caught out.
Zyra has to flash. Good flash though. Otherwise that would have been a kill. Pure MJ though. Drops low. Able to kill easily.
Elios be gone here.
Goes gold. It's going to stop that Harbor. Those are going to immediately proc. That is one dead fox. That is going to be a dead inhibitor.
That's going to be at least a dead inhibitor. I don't think they're going to be follow up and take game here.
No, not yet, but they are going to be transitioning, I would say, either to push mid, top, or take Baron. These are 20-second death times. Oh, they're just going to have the Gragas tank, able to deal a little bit of damage. However, you know, Zyra still offers quite a bit of threat. Especially since okay, so Zyra's hit one of her big power spikes, that Leandri's Torment, is going to enable the plants to deal a lot of that damage over time, as well as a lot of her abilities. Very wide area of effect, so depending on how she uses them, she'll be able to hit a lot of different champions at once. The big thing, though, is since that bottom inhibitor is down, there's going to be constant pressure in the bot lane, which means it's going to be very safe for Hypebot to exert a lot of pressure in top, while they have that effective 6th man pushing bot lane. What this means is they're going to either be able to put in siege on top, or more likely start getting some vision control around Baron and push for Baron and possibly for a fight around Baron.
Hypebot sort of establishing vision control. Oh, they're just going for it on the ward.
Yeah, well, they see that Rek'Sai's in bot lane. Okay, now Rek'Sai's ulting, but this may be too late. It's dropping 1,000 health, and it's going to get snowed out. Rek'Sai jumps in, just a hair too late. Dies for her troubles.
Here comes the resets.
Crossloss going back in to die. Ari's manages to get a pickup onto Malzahar. However, that is answered with the Maokai. Good damage out on the Cyber Sage from that Ari. However, Cyber is flashing aggressively. Tries to get the Super Mega Death Rocket. Not quite enough to kill him, but Gragas, Beryl just misses with the outplay, but Cyber Sage manages to pick that up with a quick zap. So this is 3 down for Team 2, 1 down for Hypebot, as well as those super minions are flooding into the base. Fortunately for Team 2, both top and mid were pushed out for them, so Hypebot is going to have to go back, recollect that wave, which is going to give enough time for Team 2 to come back up. But unfortunately for them, you know, that's an expanded out 9k gold lead for Hypebot. Things keep progressing like this. It's we're going to be looking at game 2 here very shortly. Oh, Zyra, a little bit premature on the ult, doesn't manage to get a whole lot. Manages to separate the Nautilus, but that Nautilus is incredibly tanky. Can't get all the damage out, and so Targon's able to just walk away. And that really important defensive ult from Zyra is down.
But they do at least preserve that middle inhibitor, which they were trying to push on. That being said, Hypebot's going to be back, this time with full health, this time with 5 members.
Right, and they'll still have about a minute of, you know, so it'll probably be about 2 waves worth of Baron to come back in on, and Siege with a couple waves of Baron.
And it looks like, I feel like my guess earlier is probably going to end up being correct. See, now that Nami has picked up an Aegis of the Legion and Nautilus has picked up an Aegis of the Legion, so this is either some miscommunication on the side of Hypebot, or more likely, in my estimation, probably seeing that Hypebot is going to be building Banner of Command on Nami and a Locket on Nautilus.
Yep, I would agree with that. I'm a little bit sad that they weren't able to get the banner quite on that back. Good catch onto the Zyra. Wave is going to be hitting 2 up. Ari's trying from the side, but she's getting knocked up. Maokai's going to be dropping down. Malzahar's dropped out. There's only 3 left up. Good 2 picks where there's still a lot left up for Hypebot, and they're going to be able to push in. There's not going to be able to be much pressure. Zyra ult will not be up in time, so that should be game 1 going over to Hypebot. Taking down 1, working on the 2nd inhibitor or Nexus turret. That drops out. Cyber Sage is able to get plenty of that long range and is going to be attacking down. Going for the disrespect though. Rek'Sai manages to escape that, and that is going to be game 1. Shut down on Jinx.
So a moral victory for T2 at the end there as Jinx recklessly walks into the fountain. But you know,
LCM
moral victories are one thing. Actual victories are a little nicer, and that one goes to Hypebot.
Yep, Hypebot up 1-0 on the series, and let's go ahead and quit out, see if the teams are building up their lobbies, and let's go to game 2. Alright, I have my invite.
Waiting on mine.
Alright, there's room. There you go. There's your invite. Alright, and it looks like we will be having Ravenite play this game instead of Targon.
Which may actually be, well, we'll see. Targon obviously did his job in team fights, but fell a little bit behind in the lane phase. Managed not to feed. Died one time off the fail flash. But otherwise had a relatively solid game on the Nautilus.
Yup.
Meanwhile, T2 is going to run the same lineup. It looks like T-Scuzzy is staying on the bench for this series. Oh, and that was wrong. Like Cairo is going to head to the bench, and T-Scuzzy is going to come in.
Yup. Oh, bench shot.
So T-Scuzzy, also mostly a support player, plays a little bit of a different pool than Cairo does. Falls sort of more in the classic line of champions. Although his single most played champion in ranked so far this season is Fiddlesticks, who I would not exactly call a standard.
No, but T-Scotty is very good with that Fiddlesticks.
Yep. I would not be surprised to see a T-Scuzzy ban, or sorry, a Fiddlesticks ban coming across here.
I would agree with that. Oh my. Hypebot Unicorn is calling it. I do believe that is going to tell us one of Hypebot's bans.
And Criddlesticks with the dank 420 fantasy points. For those of you not in a know, that is a reference to the popular time 420 for smoking marijuana.
Blaze it 360 no scope, yo. Oh god,
And
I just said that.
I know. I felt
I
dirty
feel
all
bad.
over too when I said it, so I think we both need to take showers after this.
Yeah. Either that, or cast an amazing game where there's lots of kills, and we can redeem
vote for
ourselves.
that one, because taking showers would require me to get out of my chair, and I don't intend to do that until I go to bed.
Well, and then we miss out these great games.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd really like to see T2. I don't want to sleep tonight. Let's go to 3 games.
And I do want to sleep tonight, but I'm on the West Coast, so I'm an hour earlier than Gabby, so I'm still okay with them going 3 games. think we've seen that Ravenite and Targon have relatively similar pool. Targon, of course, is known as a little bit of a Nasus player,
He's been known to do that from time to time.
but Nasus obviously has his own problems in high-level 5v5 play, and it looks like, even without the bans, they've just been kind of shifting away from the Nasus.
Right.
Which is okay. But, I mean, just looking at the match history, we see a lot of the same champions for Ravenite as we do for...
Well, I feel like
Targon.
Ravenite has a bit broader of a champion pool.
I agree.
He does like his tanky top laners. He likes playing some really cheesy stuff like Tom Kench. But he'll play a wider variety. I feel. Whereas
I agree. I
Tar-
also think we're more likely to see some carry top laners coming out from Ravenite than we are from Targan.
I agree.
Although Targon's Cassiopeia is also relatively well known, although Cassiopeia top has kind of fallen out of the meta since tilting TSM at MSI.
Right. Alright, so we're starting to get into bans. Similar bans, entirely expected at this point. I am expecting Hypebot to toss in a Fiddlesticks ban, simply because that is going to directly affect T-Scuzzy, I feel, quite a bit. And we get the Butthurt ban. Malzahar is going to be taken away from Archaeotics. He will have to transition to one of his other mid laners this game.
Though his Victor, of course, is incredibly strong, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that stay up. Tempest Life loses the Nidalee,
Yep.
which is not... I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Oh, Prussless. No, you don't say it like that. That is...
Trustless, that's disappointing. Nobody likes Malzahar, but no one likes language like that either.
Homophobia is bad. You shouldn't be homophobic, Prussless. I'm calling you out.
Behind your back, Aiden.
Yup.
Ghana ban continues to come down. I don't really understand what we're seeing with that ban.
Yeah, especially since it was apparent that they really wanted to first pick... Oh!
Oh, interesting.
Fiddlesticks comes
the
through.
Fiddlesticks is up for T-Scuzzy. And T-Scuzzy rushes in to jokingly not actually pick Fiddlesticks first. Which would be a very silly first pick, given I don't think anyone's going to be contesting it. Unless... Hypebot Unicorn has a Smurf that I'm unaware of and has been practicing Fiddlesticks for this very moment.
Alright, they are picking up Fizz. Close to Fiddle, you know. DZ, it's close enough.
So one of the nice things about that pick, though, is it has a lot of flexibility to where it can go.
Right.
I mean, obviously, Elio plays Fizz in the mid lane, which is sort of where he started. But at the same time, Tempest Life has a good amount of Fizz played in the jungle. I'd be shocked to find out that Prustless doesn't play Fizz top lane. I mean, I think the question on all of our minds, though, is whoever does actually play Fizz...
AD or AT?
They do have Cottontail Fizz, right?
If not, they should get it.
Prustless has one ranked game played as Fizz, so I might be a little surprised to see that go top.
Alright, and we
Once
see
again,
the flex pick again from Nautilus, and Jinx is that late game hyper carry from Cyber Sage.
I think I wouldn't be too surprised to see that pick go down to support this time, but I also wouldn't be shocked to see it go back to the top lane too. They've really liked playing around this Nami, and it had some very effective plays last game.
Yeah, and they used it really well in lane too, where they're able to use that sustain against a poke-based support to stay relevant in lane. You know, there is the holy trinity of supports in the bot lane, where you have poke beats out all in, beats out sustain, beats out poke. So Nautilus is that flex pick, so that if they do see a sustain support in the bot lane, it enables them to have that all-in comp. Otherwise, it allows them to have that Nautilus in the top lane as that flex pick and go with the sustain support against something poke.
Alright, so it looks like the option of Fizz going top has been effectively ruled out, unless T-Scuzzy has a pocket support Scion. Which
Hey, do not discount the support Scion. It is
that is not me discounting the support Scion, just expressing dubiousness that T-Scuzzy plays it.
That's fair. As someone who enjoys playing the support Scion, it's it's a very niche pick and very much depends on the support. And given that, like, against Nautilus support, it's great. Basically, against any kind of tanky all-in, Scion is just as tanky as all of those characters, and has a lot of CC, and as well as just innate damage. And even if you die, it's, hey, you are then wailing on faces for another 5-10 seconds.
Yep,
but
and another good aspect of that pick is if Hypebot tries to counter with the Maokai pick, they just have to bring out the Lumberjack Scion skin and they've got him counterpicked.
this is true. Although, Nautilus's anchor is bigger than that axe.
That is true. I didn't support. It's probably not going to be relevant to this game, but didn't support Scion kind of fall off even from his niche status when his E damage got nerfed down a little?
It does make him a lot weaker. And to be fair, as someone who really enjoys playing Scion support, outside of the niche where he is okay, he's horrible. He has very little poke. His mobility is poor, and some of his CC can be dodged. So against poke champions, or poke supports, Morgana, Zyra, Vel'Koz, Lux, any of those things will just destroy a Scion simply because he cannot get in and do what he needs to do. So I really hope that's not a support Scion, but I really hope that's a support Scion.
I know what you mean.
And CyberSage
this is why
is demonstrating why client picks are better. No, client pick.
This is why chat picks suck, because Hypebot is very graciously protesting chat picks by taking forever with theirs.
Yes, the in-game client, you get that time limit, which I feel is a really important aspect of this game. Given that, you have to come in prepared. You have less time to think about things. It's that innate pressure of, thinking under pressure, as opposed to in chat. It's, well, what about this? Well, what about that? You start getting debates, and it can easily just drag on.
And we get Archaeotix will be getting his Victor, or so I'm assuming, if they ever learn how to spell Victor with a K instead of a...
Hey, they're just trying to start a glorious revolution here.
They also pick up the Gragas. That was very, very successful for Liam in the last game. We're seeing a very, very similar comp to the one that Hypebot played last game.
Just subbing out the Victor for the or the Malzahar for the Victor, and quite frankly, that's going to fill in a similar kind of void. Victor is going to be able to have similar high amounts of wave clear. He's going to bring a little more in terms of team fight, simply because he has a bit more AoE damage than Malzahar, and a little less pick. But that said, I feel like Victor is going to work into this Siege comp a lot better than Malzahar did. Sure, Malzahar had that pick comp capability for when one person got out of position. However, the Victor is going to just provide that massive amount of zone control with the Gravity Field and Chaos Storm for when they start sieging towers.
Yep, I actually like the Victor pick more than I liked the Malzahar pick. And the Malzahar pick drew a ban that was forced later on, so, that's nice for Hypebot.
Yep. So we're waiting to see what T2 is going to finish out their comps with. Fiddlesticks and Brolaf. I don't like their team. I feel like it's split into several different directions. So big things for why I don't like it is you have split pushers, but then you are lacking in wave clear. The only like really wave clear you have is you have a little bit from the Tristana and a little bit from Fiddlesticks. However, both of those have fairly low range, and by themselves will not necessarily be able to clear out a wave, which means it's going to be very difficult for T2 to be able to split push with that Fizz and Olaf. Both of them are incredibly strong split pushers. They do have some of that team fight, but it just feels really split out. There's not as much CC that Fiddlesticks wants to be able to do the ult. Maybe if the fish catches onto someone, but generally, once the fish hits someone, everyone else is going to be pretty good at just letting it hit that one person. You'll have the Scion ult, which could potentially get something to set that up, but I don't feel like T2 has synergy for making plays.
Yeah, I think synergy is the most important. I think really what's lacking T2 here is they don't really seem to have a common objective in their comp. It really reminds me of a solo queue comp. People
it really does.
Picked around, oh, I'm good at this champion, I like this champion. But in games at this high level, that unless you just absolutely crush lane phase, that's not going to do enough.
Yeah, and that's where this is going to be decided.
Admittedly, they'll have the split push advantage. Like, Fizz is really hard to stop in a split push. Olaf is really hard to stop in a split push, and none of the 4 people that they have now are going to be able to duel either of those 2.
Right, and they do have that strong early game pressure. Ravenite picking up the Tom Kench.
And as we sort of guessed, the Nautilus is going support this game, and Tom Kench is going to the top lane where he can be king of the river.
And so this is also, with some of the Fiddlesticks being able to, and Fiddlesticks is mostly poke, so I'm not sure how much I like the Nautilus into that, but that said, Fiddlesticks, a lot of the power comes from some of that drain, which Nautilus will be able to stop. But so win conditions here. We have a similar win condition for Hypebot where they are looking for team fights for sieges and using that 2 power the 2 damage dealers to push down, have massive amounts of wave clear, and shove into towers to win. And Team 2, simply because they have that more YOLO queue style team comp, they are going to need to win laning phase. If they do not win lane phase, they will lose this game.
I absolutely agree with you. That being...
Just lost you on comms.
Oh, sorry. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're back. Welcome back.
Okay. Jungle Scion is a particular specialty of Tempest Life, right?
I believe so. And Jungle Scion can be strong. And actually, I like this more than a Jungle Olaf, simply because the Olaf has more... I feel more lane pressure for getting those kills, especially, you get the Scion coming out of the jungle, gets the CC. The Olaf, being in a lane has the possibility for getting more gold. And those solo laners are going to be the ones with the potential to do that split pushing. So I'd like to see Tempest Life focus on getting one of those 2 lanes ahead, so that lane can be that consistent split push threat that if anyone from Hypebot has to go deal with, they have the possibility to get those kills. Because Fizz and Olaf, phenomenal duelers. The one thing to be aware of, though, for Olaf is I feel that Red side has a fair amount of mobility. Gragas is able to jump around. The damage dealers are a bit more stationary, but they're not going to be the ones that are going to be wanting to deal with the split push. That's going to want to be Tom Kench, who really just doesn't care about the damage you deal to him, or possibly the Gragas. And I feel both of those are going to be fairly tanky, and the Gragas will have decent wave clear. Tom Kench will have a little more trouble with that. But that's how I see what Hypebot's answer is to the possibility of if, and only if the Olaf and Fizz get fed.
Yep. So you said what? 35 minutes last game. If it goes that long, that Hypebot was going to have a large advantage.
Yeah.
I feel like this game's even worse. I feel like if this game's at all close at 25, this game's over. If not 20.
I would say closer to 20. If T2 is not up, their comp is based around they have an early game power spike, as well as combine that with the sort of YOLO queue aspects of their team is they have to win early. If they do not win early, they will lose this game, unless of course Hypebot throws. But one of the things I really like about how Carlton has approached the draft is he did a lot of in-houses. So everyone, take notes if you're planning to participate in the gRumble next year, is making sure to do a lot of in-houses, find which people are willing to play a lot and are available a lot, and he specifically picked around that, not just on skill level on paper, but based on people that he knew. He had an idea of what he was getting into with picking them on a team, as well as knowing that he can work with them. So making sure that you're finding a team that is willing to practice, that you understand their play styles, and that you can create a team of that meshed play style.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think CyberSage is probably one of those people who's played more games with people than Google than just about anyone else.
Right.
Like,
well, at least of the captains. He's made a very, very intentional about doing that.
I think of the high elo Google players, though, I mean, like, I've played some with a lot of people, but I can't think of anyone I've played even half as many games with as I have with CyberSage.
Right.
And I'm obviously not even someone that was being scouted for champions.
But it's getting those in-houses, which gives a lot of information because, and let's be honest, the Riot rankings are a little bit wonky, so...
Gabby, tell us how you really feel about the Riot rankings.
I am salty.
Okay.
And by salty, you mean silver 1?
I got demoted 2 whole tiers.
Golds are not allowed in this channel. Only silver 1 and below.
Yeah, going from, I'm plat 1 in solo queue, in the AHGL 9th place out of 80 or so teams, demoted to silver 1. That was some insult to injury right there.
I was on the AHGL 9th place out of like 80 teams, and I was demoted to silver 3. Shh, stop it. You're ruining my narrative.
Okay, you're right. You helped us a lot with analysis, team practice.
With those 2 practices that I went to, yeah.
But you were there. You were on that team, and you
That's
were.
right. I was an integral cog. I have heard people call me a cog. Admittedly, it was me, but I have heard people say it.
Right. Well, and let's be honest, Word Search would not have been the same without you. So
Absolutely.
We were happy to have you on the team. Okay, so we have 50 seconds before we go into the game. So we've talked about win conditions, some of the team comps. So one of the things, I really enjoy watching Ravenite play Tom Kench. He and CyberSage have had some disagreements in the past about its effectiveness. However, I've seen him use it to great strength. He loves playing it a lot in solo queue, as well as just in a number of the Googler games. And the thing that I really like about it is the just tank pressure, where he becomes this unkillable force that with the ult is able to move across the map. And then part of how I like with how he's played is he has a really good reaction time. So, in case of some of the things like, Fizz ult, or, a Fiddlesticks coming down, being able to scoop up one of the hyper carries for Hypebot. I predict that he's going to do that 2 or 3 times this game.
Yep. I would not be surprised. Is CyberSage not a fan of Tom Kench?
At first, I think he's grown to like it, but
Okay.
I remember some rather colorful conversation. Yeah, if if Cyber Sage, I guess, if he didn't like it now, he wouldn't want it to be played. And
I would say because
he's a
I've
fairly
seen both
opinionated
Ravenite
individual.
and Targan play a lot of top lane Tom Kench.
Okay, I haven't seen Targon play it, but I definitely know Ravenite
Targan has
loves
been
it.
playing a lot of it in their ranked team, and a lot of it in normals that he's been playing with the team and with other Googlers.
Okay.
In fact, I think Singed and Tom Kench are the only champions I've seen Targon play recently when I've played with him.
Okay.
And I mean, like, to his credit, Targon clearly made a great emphasis this gRumble in widening out his champion pool.
And I feel like he's done a great job. I mean, that Nautilus play was great last game.
Yeah, I think it's been really helpful for Hypebot. Like, he's not someone who needs to be the strongest pillar and carry of this team, so if they can plug him in as just a solid player, they're going to be in a great position.
Yep.
Alright, so Hypebot is moving into the blue side top jungle. Obviously, as a team. Meanwhile, Team 2 is trying to set up an ambush in the bottom side jungle that Hypebot is not going for.
And they are going to be losing out on a lot of vision. Let's see, will... Oh, Cyber should have been spotted out by that.
Yeah, I should have switched my vision fast enough. I didn't see if they could see him or not.
Yeah, they could see him. So
yeah,
they're going in, they're grabbing in on the blue.
They're invading onto the blue to get that those wards down there.
Oh, are we going to get a cheese brush? Nope, they're just going to fall back and clear together, make sure the top side is. So I would expect a lane swap from Hypebot. It looks like they're going to be trying to take control of the top half of the jungle.
And personally, I think a lane swap would be really, really smart for Hypebot here, too. Like, if they look at the team comps, all they really have to do is survive the laning phase in a decent shape, and they're going to be a heavy, heavy favorite to win that game. It's much harder to fall drastically behind in a lane swap than it is in a lane, because they're just not in positions where they can kill you over and over.
Right, well, and the other thing is, if you look at the top laners, you know, Tom Kench... is fairly tanky, is going to be difficult to dive, and doesn't need to rely on getting that heavy amount of farm to become relevant as transition into the game. Whereas the Olaf, you know, has a lot more damage, but is a lot squishier and is going to have some trouble, you know, breaking freezes, and really requires that gold in order to do well transitioning into the late game.
And to further add to it, actually, I think if you look at the mid laners, and while admittedly if you look at the mid laners, I think Victor's a much easier to gank mid laner than Fizz is.
Yeah, but Hypebot's coming down, possibly, or they might be going for the blue.
They're going for Sushi.
Not yet. It's too early to go for that kind of dive. Gotta let them push out. So what I think they're going to do is they're going to go for the blue, possibly one more, and then they have two options. Either Victor bounces this mid wave, and it starts pushing out, draws that Fizz out, and they can go for the gank there. And if that doesn't happen in time, they have the option where they can collapse 4-man onto that top turret and get that down very quickly. And it looks like they are opting to go for the top turret, go for that assured gold, and Archaeotix is just going to walk away from that fiddle ganks. And Ravenite going back to pick up all the farm that Pure MJ graciously delivered to that tower.
But I mean, yeah, one of the underrated aspects about lane swaps is it really sort of neutralizes the jungler's effect on the early game.
Liam is in position for a dive here. Looks like they are going to be going in onto Prustless. Hook goes down. Headborn is going to be tanking the aggro quite well. Nice stay right at the edge. Let's Gragas get that first blood, and it looks like then they are going to be able to get tower damage onto that. With Jinx there and that massive wave, I will be surprised if they don't get that tower as well. So.
And on the other side, actually, while that was going on, T2 tried to dive the Tom Kench and Ravenite, but Ravenite was able to see it coming and then dodge the Scion E with his flash and was able to get out essentially unharmed. So they may be able to match the tower here.
Yeah, they will match the tower, but First Blood does go over to Hypebot. So however, with current positioning, T2 does have initiative on Dragon, Unfortunately, Tristana's being a little bit slow in transitioning over, but with the Jinx Nautilus still in the top lane, and they don't know it, but Gragas is totally not there to contest, so this is going to be T2's dragon. And getting this dragon this early in the game does enable the possibility for that, 5th dragon win condition that we weren't able to see last game.
Yep. Although I would be surprised if even 18 minutes forward into this game.
Well, what they need to do, if they can keep that early game power, for the next 10 minutes, they're even on gold. They're a little bit behind, but it's in such a way that they can use the innate power of their champions in the early game to stay in this and get the next 2 dragons. Yep. If they can't do that, they won't have that kind of pressure, but if they do, that keeps that 5th dragon win condition for them on the table.
Yep, I'm just more worried about the
Elio,
fight going down a mid lane.
Going in deep, Archaeotix is going to be able to get some good trade onto the Fizz. Fizz not able to get much
this
in
is a
return.
little bit of a rough lane for the Fizz to play if the Victor does well, and Archaeotix's Victor is very good.
Death Rays are just destroying Fizz.
And I don't know if you saw it in the bottom, but the bottom lane for Team 2 was trying to recall.
Yeah, and
they were able
Hypebot.
to get in and stop the recalls, and so they're now up a pickaxe to a Doran's Blade, and they're forcing Tristana either stay in or lose a ton of farm here. So this is a really nice advantage that Hypebot's taking here.
Raven Knight going for gets the
and
noms.
There goes the Olaf.
No ult, so Prusless going down again.
And this is going disastrously for T2, so...
Yeah, this is 1.2k down. They do have the dragon, but that's not much this early game. Elio going in hard on Archaeotix. Nice flash away from the Death Ray. But the Chaos Storm goes down, and Elio with most CC, however, not going to be enough damage to finish off that Fizz. So both
I'm
of them are
actually surprised that Archaeotix held onto that Chaos Storm for so long.
No, that makes perfect sense. What Archaeotix was waiting for is for the troll pole to go down, because so long as that's up, it's very easy for Fizz to escape from that Chaos Storm.
Absolutely, but he used the troll pole to go in to close on him, which is also why Fizz got stunned by the gravity field. And so what I would have expected there is as soon as the gravity field went down, that the Chaos Storm also would have gone down, and he would have been stunned in the Chaos Storm.
Right.
Because Fizz used all of his clothes to get in on the Victor there.
But he did have that great flash, so I'm not sure if that was predicted by Archaeotix. If it was, that was absolutely phenomenal play. But yeah, I'm not sure, because with that flash, if the Chaos Storm had gone down, he would have been able to flash out. So either great luck, because having the Chaos Storm on a champion without those mobility, both the flash down and the troll pole, means you get the full damage. Unfortunately, Fizz was not low enough at that point. Anyways, back to where we are.
Alright, so Tempest Life is having to come in to relieve this bottom lane. This is smart by them to make sure they got this recall off, because Nautilus is very, very close to 6, and it would have been diving
good
time.
hook onto the
In fact, it's going to be diving time anyway.
Good flash,
nice
but Cyber Sage
Sage
goes
is
in
gonna...
deep. Still enough health, is going to be able to run out without
Jinx
a problem.
gets excited, Sion
Unicorn
gets rooted.
is just going to stop that, and teleport coming in.
Here comes the teleport from Olaf, who is 6, so he could Ghost and Ragnarok, and here it comes.
But he's too far away. He's not going to be able to get anything off this.
Nautilus is just going to Batman hook out. Doesn't even need to Batman hook out. And that's a lot burned for one flash on Nautilus.
Yup.
That was all of Olaf's summoners down for Nautilus's flash.
Fiddle's looking to get greedy, but can't pull anything out from it. So, 2k down when they needed to have that early game advantage. This is looking a little grim for T2 here. Those death rays are
chunking.
Those are they're hard to hit, but when they do, man, they just hit like a truck.
Yeah, last night I almost got forced into playing Fizz against a Victor mid because they didn't realize I was playing top lane.
T-Scuzzy out of position.
T-Scuzzy caught out, no
There's
ult,
the Grog Assault, Chaos
and
Storm,
he
boom!
evaporated. Interestingly enough, did you know that the melting point of Fiddlesticks is actually lower than whatever Chaos Storm is? I'm pretty sure he disappeared as soon as that hit.
You know, I think you're right. That's an interesting observation there. But what I think that we can infer from that is that the Chaos Storm has a higher temperature damage than the Death Ray. So you know, Chaos is hotter than fire.
No, that actually makes sense if you really think about it. Oh, and here comes the all-in attempt.
Good Troll Pulse sitting on the edge though. Archaeotics. Oh, Elio walks right back into the gravity ray.
Elio with the
dies for it. Good body block by Liam and Hypebot. They are gonna stuns coming out onto Archaeotics. However, that's not quite enough damage to kill him. And that will be 2 more kills over to Hypebot. 6-0. Oh, this
game's going all wrong for T2. I'll say Elio actually probably could have had that kill if he had managed to avoid getting stunned by the gravity field.
Yeah, but walking back in, I mean, that's the importance of positioning. Yep. It's small little details that can make or break ya. Or in this case, turn you into sushi.
I mean, once again, we see that top lane for T2 has a slight advantage. They're up about... Okay, well, after Cyber Sage took out the turret, he's only up about 100 gold. But...
And granted, he's had to die twice for it.
Yes, he has had to die twice for it, but he's got a 23 CS lead on the Tahm Kench, and so, like, that'll be nice. He'll probably be able to duel the Tahm Kench relatively effectively, especially once that Black Cleaver comes in that he's building.
Right.
But it feels to me like it's going to be way too little, way too late.
I agree. I mean, especially at this point, you know, both teams have this position on Dragon. It's going to be a contested one, but it's going to be difficult for Team 2 simply because of that, you know, 4,000 gold lead 11 minutes into the game.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at this right now, Victor has upgraded his Hex Core,
so I just want to jump in.
Nice.
Hypebot is seeing T-Scuzzy back out, so they're going to be able to go for that dragon. They know they have the mana advantage as well as the Tahm Kench TP. So they have the 5v4 and are able to secure that dragon based off of that back knowledge.
And I mean, there goes any realistic hope of that 5-dragon threat.
Yep, Elio going in deep. However, the rest of Hypebot is in on the side, and we have more sushi.
Oh,
good hook in onto
nice
T-Scuzzy, but
although
the
a very
fear...
nice reaction fear. Alright, we're gonna see the first...
Tristana.
Oh, wow, Archaeotic survives. So one thing I was going to say before Hypebot did the dragon is, in addition to upgrading that Hex Core, Victor actually used his first buy on a Negatron Cloak, which we saw there when Fizz all-in'd him and did not even get close to killing him.
Right.
It's actually a very, very nice pickup for him. And E2 is unable to use the Victor back to get any real pressure. Victor's now finished his cooldown boots as well.
Looks like he's got... Oh no, that's still just the Mark II.
So Victor's just going to melt these waves.
Yeah, Victor is phenomenally good at those wave clear. You just launch the Death Ray with the upgrade down the line, and that will do a significant chunk of damage.
I believe the technical term is boom.
Check one. Not wrecked? Wrecked? Tyrannosaurus wrecked.
I'm going to vote Tyrannosaurus wrecked on this one.
I think that's correct. Let's show him what he's won.
Looks like he has won a one-way trip on the pain train.
Indeed, but that's going to have to wait until the next fight breaks out. Instead, we have Ravenite getting rid on Prustless. Going to have to pop the shield. However, oh, Scion's coming in, and Hypebot will not have a perfect
But for the Scion,
fade.
it wasn't about the kill, it was about sending the message.
Yep.
However,
Olaf
Hypebot
is
does a
able to
nice job
solo.
of turning around this fight, and is instead going to use it to take mid lane turret. Is going to widen their gold lead by approximately another 750.
Yep, and are going to continue to keep pressure.
And,
they do have the Jinx with the tower killing.
One thing we didn't note earlier, and maybe should have, is that the wave clear on Team 2 is really, really horrendous.
Right.
Like,
Well, that's
Tristana
one thing I was
obviously
talking
can
about in
clear out
Champion
waves.
Select. Is they have very little wave clear, which makes it so that Hypebot has a lot of that siege potential. Because they have the wave clear from the Victor, from the Jinx, plus Jinx innately has a lot of tower killing capability.
Yep, that's fair enough. And I think, if they had a mid laner with a little more wave clear there, they probably could have stopped their their middle turret from going down.
Right.
Dead. Lead gets bigger and bigger. We're now approaching a 6,000 gold lead for Hypebot.
Yeah, so I'm having trouble seeing T2 get themselves back into this game. They are down 2 turrets. They are even on dragons. I feel like this is going to require at this point a misplay from Hypebot. I don't see, with the comp that they have really poor pick capabilities. The only person that they really have that can do that is going to be Fizz. So if Fizz can get a pick onto Victor or Jinx, they have a possibility, but that is going to require Hypebot misplaying their vision and having Victor or Jinx going in on an unsafe path, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't see the road back. I think we see the same chances they have to get back, but I don't see Hypebot making the mistakes necessary to get T2 back in this game.
Right. And unfortunately, a lot of this stemmed from TT not able to use that superior dueling capability in the early game to transition that into kills.
I think one thing I would have really liked to have seen from T2 is, rather than trying to set up that sort of cheesy little death brush, if they had gotten in and gotten some deep wards in an attempt to make sure they could sniff out the lane swap and then make sure they counter it if necessary. I think
They did manage to see it because Hypebot did overextend. So they know that Hypebot is going to be aggressive. I feel like they took a gamble onto which side the invade was going to be happening, and they just chose poorly. There was a little bit of bad luck in that.
Okay, that's fair enough. I still would have, I think, liked to see T2 actually be a little more aggressive than they ended up being. I don't think Olaf's winning this one.
Nope. Nom 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 nom. Delicious. It's that nice beer-flavored man that the fish really love. You have beer-battered fish. Nope, this time it's beer-battered man.
Nope. And if Fizz keeps getting killed, it's soon going to be fish-battered beer.
Oh my.
Oh.
Wow.
The
and
Wombo
Hypebot
Chaos
is just
Storm
so far ahead
chunks
that even
them out.
Yup. That would have been a great Fiddles ult, but Hypebot is just so far ahead. And it looks like they're going to be pushing in. They take the outer. They're going to start to get pressure on that inner. There's 3 people down. No real strong wave clear for Team 2. Prustless gets stuck in the gravity field. And that's going to be an inhibitor tower down at 18 minutes. In the bot lane again, like we saw last game. So we have a theme here. If you're playing against Hypebot, watch out for those 18-minute bot lane inhibitor towers.
Honestly, just find a way to get them on Howling Abyss. There's no bot lane for them to take there.
That may be the one hope that teams have of taking down Hypebot. Hypebot, please give us that free low advice. So, second dragon will be secured uncontested for Hypebot. They will get that extra tower damage for continuing to push down lanes. And now they're going to be able to spend that massive amount of gold that they've just got. So, next things I expect to see them starting to contest around will be the last inner turret that Hypebot has left to pick up, as well as I could see them potentially going for that 20-minute immediately spawning Baron. They are, 8k ahead, which means that any fights that break out, they will have an enormous advantage over. We look
in addition to the advantage they already have from the team comp and team fighting.
Right, and you can look at Jinx. She's nearly a full item up on Tristana. Upgraded boots and the Zeal. Mid lane we have a completed item and the start of a second item on Victor versus
Fizz
just
hasn't
components.
even finished his Lich Bane.
Yeah, so it seems like each person is half an item to a full item up on their counterparts. So any kind of fight over neutral objectives, Hypebot is going to be wanting to look for, and as long as they can stay together, they'll be fine.
While they're trying to
Nautilus
make sure they
going
get...
in deep. Gravity Storm is going to stop that out. However, Tempest Life is going to go in ham, but that means that they are going to be able to
Gets
turn
the
around
victor,
that
but
easy.
unfortunately they're just too far behind.
Yeah, it's that tank problem where you're that front line, but your DPS is several seconds behind. Archaeolus is able to get a lot of damage out.
And the fish whiffed.
The rocket will whiff as well. But that is 3 down for Team 2, so it looks like Hypebot is going to start on the Baron, trying to utilize that Jinx damage
has
and tank ability
a Jinx damage, yep. I'll say they've got a massive front line here. They can tank this Baron out all day.
Elio getting chunked down is not going to be able to play on the river anymore.
Victor's Chaos Storm can't finalize the kill, but at least he manages to frighten Fizz off. And in the result...
20-40 Baron. Extending the lead out to
11,000
11k.
gold lead at
nearing,
20 minutes.
Nearing 50% more gold than Team 2. I feel this game is pretty much over.
Yep. At this point, I'm not sure that Team 2 would win a 5-man dive under the Nexus turret in a 5v5.
I'd agree with that. So how I see this happening is they're going to give Victor the blue since he'll have that mana for being able to sustain, and then just group 5 push win. Oh, possibly, yeah, Tom Ketch can do the split push. As we've seen, he's now able to 1v1 the Olaf, and the rest of them can just provide that 4-person split pusher. Fizz unfortunately misses the ult onto Jinx, and it's going to be a long cooldown. Oh, the Wolf denies Nautilus from being able to pick up the Tristana hook. Fiddles is hoping to be able to get an ultimate, however, an ultimate over the jungle wall would not be able to be followed up by the rest of the team, and would just end up in a dead Scarecrow.
Did you see where Olaf just tried to teleport to?
No, I did not.
Like, I saw the teleport come in, but I didn't see the target, but...
Fizz drops down, that's a lot of damage, and there is... Oh, T-Scuzzy flashes away, he'll be able to make it out of the fight, but that's still 1 person down for T2, so Hypebot is going to be pushing in, and Tom Kench is already on the inhibitor.
In bottom lane.
Dead inhibitor, and I don't think that T2 has the wave clear to stop this tower take. Next wave comes in, and that will be another tower for Hypebot.
I was saying, if any of these hooks hit, their kills coming. There goes the Scion. Gragas is going to go down in response, but the Olaf goes down as well.
And 2 for 1 is definitely worth it, especially with these Baron minions. And Jinx is still up, which is that tower killing threat.
Victor's still up.
And Tom Kench 1v2ing, taking out the Fizz, and keeping those Baron minions on the Nexus turret. Bottom one is down to half health. And Jinx and Victor will be able to take this top inhibitor down while both Tristana and Fiddlesticks are required to deal with this Tom Kench pressure on the Nexus turrets.
I think the only question at this point is, will someone disconnect the entire Hypebot team and give T2 a chance to come back?
Well, if Hypebot does get disconnected, that's going to be 8 minutes before they can come back in and provide us with dank memes and good information. So,
I
need that
suppose
T2
what we're
support
saying is, Ocelot, please. No DDoSarino. Hypebot looks to be going down to position themselves around Dragon and just pick that one up for free, because why not?
I am entertained. Hypebot wants to make sure no one leaves the top side of T2's base without them knowing. There's a lot of vision coverage there. But it looks like they are going to be waiting to
But
get
if you
that third
actually
dragon.
look at it, there's actually a hole in their vision. If you sneak around to the right by the mid tower and then cut through the base gate, you can get out of that undetected. Meanwhile, Fizz is dying to Gragas.
Rocket misses, flashes over the Death Ray. Liam's coming in, barrel.
With
That's a pickled
authority. As they say in NBA Jam, from downtown, and the dragon.
No,
is going
that
down.
was a dunk. He dove right in, tossed the ball right on top. There was no
So
downtown
here's
there.
a basketball rules question, and I know it's impossible in real life, but I feel like NBA Jam would have something like this. If you dunk from outside the 3-point line, like if you take off from behind the 3-point line and dunk, is it a 2-pointer or a 3-pointer?
I think you have to both jump and land behind it, but I'm not sure.
No, it's where the ball is released, so if you dunk, it's still 2 points. Sorry.
Oh, Archaeotics rudely denies the assist from Nautilus.
And
Just
Sith
looks at
Star
Phil
rudely
Six and
denies
cuts him up.
Alazun's dreams of the epic dunks.
I
Alright.
like my own sport. And we have every single inhibitor down.
Oh,
The fish
Jinx.
lands on
Oh, and
Jinx.
there we go, Tom
And
Kent.
We're now up
Peeled.
to 1 out of 3, Gabby.
Oh man,
We're gonna
Tom
need some
Kent's-
good eats at the end of this game.
I don't think we're gonna be making it that hard. Tom Kent has just been living on his own island.
I'll say I think this game has about 15 seconds left to live.
And popped one right after another. 3
All right,
down,
I said
4
15
2.
seconds at 45. Oh, come on, Hypebot, stop BMing. Make me look better.
They are not going to be able to get the ace, but they will be able to get the Nexus. And Hypebot
Fiddlesticks
will be
begging
advancing
Hypebot
to
for
the
one more
finals.
chance, but Hypebot has no mercy.
And
Hypebot
Hypebot confirmed one of the
becomes-
teams to the finals.
I assume the first team to make it to the finals?
Well, it's the first I know about, so that's all that matters, right?
That does seem to be all that matters.
Alright, well, Alzun, it's been a pleasure casting with you. It's a
You
couple
too,
of interesting
Gabby.
bloodbathy games, and look forward to seeing Hypebot in the finals. Take
Yep.
care.